Hey there everyone, what's up? Back today with another impressions video, and today I'm going to be talking about Meikyuu Cross Blood Infinity on the PlayStation Vita. And this game, Meikyuu Cross Blood Infinity, or Labyrinth Cross Blood if you don't want to translate the name, is of course a first-person dungeon crawler, and it's made by Experience and distributed by Cyberfront, who just went out of business. So I don't know what Experience is going to be doing for their games from now on. But Experience made Demon's Gaze and Students Around, and I guess Wizardry X and Generation X, then a bunch of other things they've made. But Dungeon Crawlers is what they make essentially. And before that, when they made the Wizardry game, they were a different company. But that company went out of business and became Experience. But whatever. I've talked about this before. Not important. Anyway, Meikyuu Cross Blood is a port, actually, from I believe the 360. There might be a PC version, but I don't know. But I know there is a 360 version, and this game was originally on the 360. What's different on the Vita version is that there's a new mode, which is Infinity mode, which is different from the regular mode. And I'll talk about that later, how it's different. But let's see, Meikyuu Cross Blood is a game, like I said, it's made by Experience. And Experience makes first-person dungeon crawlers that I'm a fan of, but not like a super fan. You know what I mean? I like their games, but I don't love their games. And it makes the kind of situation where I don't want to play them all the time. There's a few that I haven't played yet, and I haven't really gotten the feeling like I really want to get those or anything. If you watch my Demon Gaze impressions video, or when I talk about Students of the Round, there are issues with those games, and they're fun. Overall, they're fun, and I like them. And again, I bought this one too, so obviously they're good enough to buy their games. But I haven't really been like, oh, I absolutely love these games, but they've all been relatively good. So I bought this one, I pre-ordered it, bought it at launch, and never played it. It sat on my shelf for months. And actually, I did play other first-person dungeon crawlers in that time even, but I didn't go back to Meikyuu Cross Blood for whatever reason. I just wasn't in the mood to play another Experience system game for some reason. And recently I picked it up and started playing it because I've run out of stuff to play on my Vita. Which is, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, I ran out of stuff to play on my Vita too, but in Japan, there's so much stuff coming out for the Vita, and I usually always have something to play on my Vita, but I kind of blew through a bunch of stuff, and I've got more stuff coming in the next couple of weeks where there's a bunch of new releases coming out, and I figured I probably should finish this game because a sequel is coming out in a month or so. So I got around to playing it, and it's different. It's not like Demon Gaze and Students That Around exactly. Of course it shares a lot of elements, but it's different overall, which is good. And I'll explain. So first, the game starts out like a standard kind of wizardry clone. You create a party. So unlike Students of the Round, where all the characters are chosen for you, and Demon Gaze had a lot of kind of set characters, this game does not. So you actually create your own party. That's a bonus to me. And there's a cool class system going on in this game. It's actually, if you've ever played Class of Heroes 4, it has a similar class system to that, in that you have a kind of main class and a subclass. And in this game, they're called Bloods. So that's the blood part of the Meikyuu Cross Blood. But the blood part is that the blood parts work as your character's class, and they can actually be changed at will throughout the game with kind of no penalties. So it's actually beneficial to change classes sometimes, especially when you get to the level caps and you don't want to waste your experience. But again, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But when you have the bloods, you select your main blood, and that one levels up quicker than the sub blood, which doesn't give you as many benefits. But you can actually switch them out at any time. So if you're slowly leveling the sub blood and you hit the level cap with the main blood, you can just swap them and continue doing the same stuff, or just put in new ones entirely and then swap it back when you break the level cap. So it's a pretty handy system. The level switching and the kind of character creation is really good. And you have a lot of different character types. They're all very similar to your kind of wizardry types, though. I mean, there's standard fighter, kind of samurai, and there's like a monk, kind of a fist fighter, and paladin type class, and then there's 3 types of magic users. So you have wizard and like psychic and summoner, and then you have a 4th type of magic, which is healing, which is not a wizard, I guess. It's not. It's kind of holy, I guess. I don't know. In the game, it's treated like magic, but I always think of that in terms of D&D or something, where the holy, the healing stuff is miracles, and the whatever. It's not important. Magic is spells, but whatever. It's not important. But so there's really 4 types of magic, but in the game, it's counted that way. But when you have these characters, you can create a pretty wide range of parties, because there are a lot of different classes, and you get bonuses to your stats depending on which blood you select. And for each class, there's 2 selections. So there's a kind of a male bloodline and a female bloodline that give different bonuses to your stats. So you actually have a real wide range of abilities, and you can actually level up the same class twice that way. So you could, if you wanted a healer that was like really had a lot of healing spells, you could level up a dual healer. So you could put both bloodlines as the healer bloodlines, and you'll get twice as many healing spells. Or you can put 2 different types of wizard spells, so you can get 2 different classes. So there's a lot of customization going on, and you've got a lot of different things to work with. So the character creation system is actually quite in depth, and it's really nice. So it's one of the things I really liked about this in comparison to the other recent experience games, which don't really have that same level of depth to their character creation, which is like one of the most fun parts about first-person dungeon crawlers, is making your kind of party that's customized to how you want to play. So the character creation is one of the best parts of this game. And let me think about how it plays. It's a standard kind of first-person dungeon crawler, but it's got it plays like pretty much all the other experience games. There's not really anything different. There's the kind of trap points where you'll go and there'll be enemies kind of floating in a triangle on the screen. All of the experience first-person dungeon crawlers do that. And you have also random encounters and set encounters. It's pretty wide range, and you have the same kind of mazes where, like, even though the settings are different, sometimes they're like these kind of cyberspace virtual dungeons. They're all set up in the same way, so there's the same kind of first-person dungeon crawler tropes where, there's spinning tiles and moving walkways and things like that. So the gameplay itself is pretty standard, but what you have is you have 2 modes in the game. You have the regular mode, which gives you 6 party members, and Infinity mode, which gives you only 5 character members. So obviously the difficulty is a little bit higher. And in this one, you have Infinity mode. In my case, I played through the game originally on the normal mode with 6 characters, and what happened was in the Vita you can kind of put it into sleep mode or whatever, and you don't have to save. You can just kind of stop, play on the train or whatever for a couple minutes, and then turn it off, and then pick it up later and resume where you were playing. Well, I had been doing that for about a week without saving, and the game itself froze. So the application froze, and I lost about, 20 hours of gameplay, which, I was like right at the end of the game, and the application crashed, and I lost my entire save up from the first, I was back to level 4. So that was how it worked, and I was just like, well, I already played through the game essentially once, so I'll try it on Infinity mode and see how that works. And Infinity Mode, it plays very similar, except you have only five characters. So it's a bit more like Etrian Odyssey in that sense, where you can kind of choose, do you want three in the front and two in the back, or two in the front and three in the back? And I played it like Etrian Odyssey, essentially. I put two in the front and three in the back, and left it at that. But I know other people have different ways of playing, so that's what's, I think, really the fun part of that. Infinity Mode is actually a little bit more fun than the regular mode. It's a little bit more difficult, but it gives you a lot more strategy to think of. How do you want to build your party in a way that, do you want to put three strong fighters in the front and be kind of magically gimped, I guess, or do you want to put two fighters that are kind of tanks in the front and use magical attacks and use ranged attacks from the back? And you have a lot of options that way. And I think I liked Infinity Mode with this game a bit more. But I don't know. Let's talk about, actually, I want to talk about the art style a little bit, because the dungeons themselves look pretty good. I know sometimes the dungeons, I mean, they all look like squares, I guess. Everything looks like corridors, and I mean, essentially that's what it is for the most part in most places. But it's not actually bad. The kind of textures and things are interesting, so it's not terrible. And there's some kind of these like horror dungeon like traveling through a scene in the Saw movies or something. It's pretty similar to that in tone, I guess. Right when you start in the beginning, it's quite like that actually. So it's quite different from your other types of fantasy style first person dungeon crawlers, where it's like dungeons in the sense that it's like medieval dungeons instead of like torture dungeons. But it's pretty interesting. The character art is, I like what they did with it. Not that I like the art style. I'm not a huge fan, but they let you choose between some different types, and you can kind of create your own, which is cool. You have the option to use that kind of same art style as Students of the Round, and then or the same kind of style they used in Demon Gaze, or you can kind of do this weird mixture of both, or you can kind of use these set pictures that they give you. So you have a lot of options, and you can make your own avatars for each character. Again, that's like the kind of things that it's a nice little touch, and it's something that it's one of the fun parts of making characters in your games. And I want to talk about some of the issues I guess I had with the game. Sometimes the dungeon design was bad. And I'm not saying, usually overall it's good, but in some cases it's like horribly non-intuitive, and it led to like some frustrating moments where there's a point in the game where you have to go to the top of a building to fight a boss. And what they do is like you're jumping between the two buildings at a point, and right at the top of the building where the boss battle is, there's a jump point to jump to the other building. And what happened for me was that even though it said to go to the top of the building for the boss battle, you get to the top and you find the jump point and you think, oh, I must go to must. It's the first thing you see when you come out of the door. Is there's like, oh, it's a jump to the other roof of the building. So you jump across and you find that like you go to the elevator to go to the roof, and there's this ridiculous like high level boss battle, and you're at a level cap and you need to clear the stage to get to the level cap, and I think I tried to fight that battle like 10 times, and I just kept getting wiped every time, until I realized that like I'm not supposed to be fighting that battle. It's not the battle that I'm supposed to be fighting on the roof. There's another battle on the roof that's on the one that you don't jump. It's just non-intuitive because there's two jump points. It's like the main feature of the area, and then like the actual battle is like behind a building somewhere. So kind of made for a confusing kind of battle situation at some points. And there are other issues like that where the maps are like these kind of weird I don't know, I'm not saying like it's bad. It's not. But it's not a puzzle. It's just kind of they lead you directly in a place where you're not supposed to go, instead of to the place where they want you to go, which is, I guess interesting, but it's not very good because it doesn't like it's not teaching you a lesson. It's just like feels unfair because you get to the place where you think you're supposed to go and suddenly the enemies are 40 levels higher than you. So it's the kind of thing where I didn't really care for that. The level cap thing was another thing that I didn't care for in this game. Usually in the experience games, there's not a level cap. In this game, there's frequent level caps. Like from level 3, there's a cap, and I felt that like it was unnecessary to have the caps. It wasn't like you could really um, level grind in every place. Like it's not easy to go up levels quickly or anything. I mean, you could, I guess, but the thing with it is that the level cap kind of added an artificial level of difficulty to the game, that was unnecessary. I could see where people might struggle on some of the boss battles. If you were you're stuck at level 15 and you have to go to a boss battle and you just can't do it. So it makes the game probably not so good for people who aren't fans of first-person dungeon crawlers. But I'm not saying like it was too difficult. It's not like incredibly difficult. I thought the difficulty was good, but I felt like the level caps weren't good only because to break the level caps you had to do like a ridiculous amount of side missions that essentially were just wandering around dungeons hoping to get a rare encounter to fight a rare boss or something. And it felt like, oh well, I've been stuck at the level cap, but I can't get this stupid rare encounter to show up, so I'm just kind of grinding for nothing at this point. Like that was the kind of thing that I thought was like not so fun because it's completely random in some cases. In some cases, those special encounters are at a set point, but sometimes they're not, and they don't show up easily. So, that I thought was kind of unnecessary. It seemed like artificial kind of difficulty tacked on for the sake of adding a level of difficulty, which, I kind of don't really enjoy that part. But other than that, that's about all I really want to say about this. I'm almost 20 minutes into this, and I don't feel like I've talked about it that well. But Meikyuu Cross Blood overall, it probably is the best experience RPG that's come out recently. Obviously I haven't played all of them because there's a bunch on the PC I haven't played, but out of the ones I've played, it's the best one I've played, and I'm pretty excited for the sequel now. Now that I know it's how it works and how it's different from the other ones. When the sequel comes out next month, I'll probably play it right away instead of having it sit on my shelf for a while. That's about it though. I wanted to give a last shout out to somebody who is a big fan of these games and also like a fan of first-person dungeon crawlers, and that's a channel called Dornai. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I'll put a link below so you can check him out. But he's got gameplay of this on his channel, plus a bunch of other games that I've talked about before. So if you want to check out his channel, do that. And I guess if you like gameplay of first-person dungeon crawlers, he's a good channel to check out because he's always getting the new stuff and some old stuff. So he's got actual PC games from experience also on his channel. And so he's a good channel to check out. And so check him out if you want to see gameplay of this also. But other than that, that's pretty much all I gotta say. I'm sure I'll think of a million things I forgot to say, but right now I'm at about 20 minutes and I'm gonna end this. So I will see you guys next time.